let me start like showing what it is. We a little bit of an overview on what tools we're going to use because it might change depending on your environment. So right now we're using Claude. This could be done in anything. It could be done in ChatGPT, even Copilot, but we use Claude. To us, it's currently is the best model for enterprises, at least in our opinion. And inside Claude, we're using the Cowork feature of it, which Cowork allows us to work with local files. So the first thing that we're going to define is I created an initial prompt that is going to guide us to creating that knowledge-based structure. So that's the first thing. And for this session, we're going to show you how to do it. And hopefully in next sessions, you will do it and we will be there to support how you do it. So, okay. So this is the first questions. What's the main thing this second brain needs to track? For example, programs, project, clients. So let's say it's projects, clients, team members, teams, projects, clients, teams. What else?
Expenses.
Expenses. Okay. Anything else?
Meetings
Uh,
or communications.
Yeah, meetings, emails, chats.
Yeah.
So this is, I'm going to put it in transcripts so that we do not connect to any email server now. It's like more copy and paste for this session, and then we could continue to evolve it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for this, let me, so what I'm going to do here, okay, got it. Okay, roughly how many projects and clients exist at once? So let's say simple, like 5 clients, 2 to 3 projects per client. And this is just an example. What we really want to show you is how it's structured, like the knowledge base and the file structure, so that we could use it down the road. Who else use this? Just you. Let's say that it's just me.
Could it, for example, if you have already OneNote or a repository that you usually use, could you lift and shift that? Would you take pictures? Would you take copy paste? Would you take a structure of it? What would be the simplest way, assuming that not everybody starts with a blank slate, but rather you have already an existing either structure and optimal or not optimal way to organize your, how would you do that?
Yes, but ideally there's like a lot of like tips and best practices that we should help in defining that knowledge base. And the reason because of that is that we want it to be robust enough from the get-go so that it continues to support the evolving nature of things. Because what this sort of project, the way this sort of projects evolve is that you usually start small with few entities, and then you start, now that I'm doing this and it's generating value, I start adding things. So it's very important to have the structure and the foundation in place so that it can grow without getting messy.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's better to start from scratch and not transfer your existing structure that might be suboptimal, and then allow AI to continue evolving it in an optimal way using the second brain capabilities. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay, so inside one project, what actually generates activity day to day? Usually it's 1-2 dominant things, not all equally. For example, meetings. Let's say it's meetings and emails and chats. So Okay, walk me through one real example. Pick one meeting or email thread that happened. Who has involved? Okay, so this is an example of what you were asking, Andra. And there's two levels of structure definition that it's happening here. One is the overall entity definition, and then how each meeting, the definition of what the meeting is. I'm gonna just let's start with a standard. You suggested. So, and I don't know, maybe there's meeting agendas that are standard in a company, and then we could pull them here.
Yeah.
Client kickoff meetings, a 45 meeting video call with Acme Cowork on their website, redesign project, attendees, yeah. Let me see, is it possible to keep like a prompt repository? For example, initial prompt is interesting because it set the ways of working, interviewing, in this case, which is a cool way. Yes. And that's the idea. That's why I started this. And yeah, this is a guide to how to set up that structure. And this was specifically set up for like project management. If we wanted something like for like financial management, that would be different. Okay, so for a meeting with good current fields like, yeah, looks good.
And then each time we are adding a piece of content, it will aim to structure it in the same way, right? And it would be able to call out to say, you don't have a date set, or there were not actions, or you don't have owner for the actions, or things like that. That would help you going back and clarify or follow through, or yeah.
Yeah.
That's where this structure starts to pay off, rather than all piece of content is new. You can create a structure that it follows through, and then it can come back with additional value, like a team member would do.
Yeah, and once we start with what we want to store, it starts asking, okay, where is that information? So like, where is it coming from? So right now, yeah, but never sync, for example, no. So when two sources overlap, say an email and a meeting transcript, both mentioned the same decisions, which should be when, human in the loop. That's a human in the loop scenario. The human should resolve it. So one thing that we need to be careful when setting up any AI system is that AI systems are prone to answer and prone to always try to infer the correct question. So I deliberately added that call out because I want the system to always have a human in the loop if it has doubts that it's the best answer. Restart manual copy paste. Okay, should people, client, contracts, teammates be their own entity? A page click into and see everything related to that person, or just name tag field entities. I'd like for the system to be robust, to be I'd like for the system to be able to grow. Same for clients and projects, full entities with their own pages. So you can open Acme Corp and see all its projects, people, and communications. I'm assuming yes, yes. Is there a strict hierarchy? Client, projects, communication, task, or flatter? Where anything can link to anything without strict parent-child. Given the system should grow, I link to hierarchy. So you see, it already knows that my intent is to keep growing it. Clients, projects, and people are first client entities with their own pages. The backbone is strict hierarchy, okay? Okay, so now that we know what we're going to store, where it's coming from, it already has like a model of like the structure. It's going to drive me to how I'm going to use it, and that's going to dictate also a structure and the entry points of that knowledge base. So let's see, what should we answer here? What happens? Okay. What is it about them?
So does it help to prompt and add this sort of persona direction?
So I'm going to explain what I said, that AI project manager. Initially, it'll allow me to ask questions of status and next steps, but down the road, it'll evolve into helping me automate trivial tasks, or at least suggest and I approve. So there's like a fine line, Andra, of how specific I want to be with the AI and how open I want to be. So like, I don't know, 5 months ago, 6 months ago, the models weren't on a very high level. So you needed to be very specific so that the outcome would be what you expect. But there's like a fine line that you want to be specific enough so that the model does what you want, but you want to be a little bit vague so that you use the creative power of the model. So I don't know exactly what's going to come out for me just saying that this is an AI project manager. But what I think it's going to do, it's going to probably add entities that we hadn't thought about, like a to-do or it's going to, let's see, and hopefully there it's a little bit clear. You want the dashboard index view per project? Yes. Let's have it per client.
So what you're actually building now is a knowledge base with best practice data structures. So you take your previous knowledge on what makes a knowledge base robust from a data architecture. So, and then you guide it through these questions, the user to set up their knowledge base using a similar approach, rather than just dumping something into a folder and then not being able to extract value out of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. You see, I'm getting it.
And the idea of giving it that like AI project management input is that hopefully it would start to suggest things. So it would structure the knowledge base in a way that allows us to the next iteration, having it not only store information for us to remember it, but also starting to suggest and really be that right hand like AI assistant.
Beautiful. So it's now what? Creating the data structure, right? It's a full hierarchy of what we would call folders.
Let me see what, yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. I ask you to create a visual artifact so that it's easier for us to review. I mean, it has it here. Okay. Source enter app. Okay. Open questions.
So this is something that a data architect would have done for us before having AI, right?
Yeah. And it would be, so one thing that we're gonna do is our like knowledge base is gonna be stored in files, probably MD files, which is it's an extension for Markdown file, which is basically a text file but with format, and it's a type of file that is very commonly used in AI system and agents, and it's basically how a lot of these models were trained. So it's very easy for them to understand it. So it's team, project, person, okay, people.
So that's, I think it's worth to mention that the way this is built, it's not built only for humans to use it. Actually, it's built for machine to use it. So all the input and the way it stores data and the look and feel of the outputs, and it will be more machine ready than human ready. So that's something that we would need to, I think, switch in our brains also when we start working intensely with AI and getting value out of it, is they don't need the same UI and the same capabilities of that we do. And there's a lot of complexity that we avoided by keeping one-pagers and things like that machine don't need to. So they can really store data in a very different way, more enriched, really more valuable than we would have done with only for our own eyes.
Yeah. And if we were doing this like 2 years ago, we would probably be defining the database first, and it would be database system, not a file system. And so let's see. I asked him to create like a visual artifact of this. It's taken a little bit long.
Yeah, but visual things usually take a bit longer. But I think that's right, the end of this today's session in terms of building capability. Or do you want to use already the data structure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Build it. So I'm gonna. So while it's building, let's review this. So basically, what we're gonna have is our top level is client. Then we're gonna have projects, and then we have communications, which is under projects, and then tasks and decisions. A project has expensive, and then we have team, persons, and communication. So this is like a very basic structure that we would like to refine if we were going forward into production with this. For instance, I spot gaps here that our teams, like independent of the company, or we're going to have like internal teams, external teams, those sort of like a little bit more structure I would like to add. So now I asked it to build it, and what's going to happen is that he's just going to build like a folder structure in my file system with placeholders for of the each of this. So it's going to probably have a folder called persons, and inside of persons it's going to have a template and probably a readme file so that it instructs the agent how to create a person and what's that person structure. And let me see if it's already creating that. Let me check my file system.
Are you doing now with Obsidian or local files?
No, it's currently local files. Yeah.
Okay. So that's an alternative of building it without a secondary tool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Next seated. Okay, read me. Let me try and show you this.
And is Claude now creating the files or just the structure?
It's creating the structure and the files inside it.
Okay, very good. Do you need to give any sort of permission, or it has permission already?
It already has permissions that I have approved, like before it asks it. Yeah.
So for a new build, our teams, our community would have these prompts of, do you give Claude permission to create the file? So these permissions are, I think, file or root level represented. So you give it once and then it maintains and retains it. But then you always need to approve.
Yeah, and for our current audience, like next sessions, we would help them do it, and we will be there to guide them and instruct and give like tips on the insights that we already know. So let me share my file system so that you see what it is what it did. So window, let me just show like the entire screen. So this is the structure that we had. If you see here, it's like client, projects, communications, decision, expenses, people. And it's, for instance, I'm going to open it. See where it's easier for you to see it. I'm just trying to not to overwhelm you. Okay, so if you see, this is a good thing. It has a README that it created, which is this one. And this README is going to instruct the agent what this is, how this works, and a little bit of like the guardrails of what it needs to do, right? So it already lays out the folder structure, and this is going to help us not to deviate from our like initial design. And then it starts like defining like the conventions. All the dates should be like this. All client status should be like this. Because if we do not define this, and this was actually part of the initial prompt, that I wanted like very specific variables and definitions of each of the entity. If we do not define this, then we have the risk of, like, I don't know, a month from now, the agent proactively adding another status, something like that. And then if I have any rules here, I would add it there. So that's the README. It has an index, so that's easy to search. And then it has like an example of what it would be. So this is description, full redesign. Yeah, this is an example of a project. And how that looks in the file system, it's like this. I have templates. Each of the entities that I defined has a specific template. And I'm going to show you this. I know that this is black screen, but these here are like variables. And this is the template, for instance. Let's see. Let's have a template, for instance, for a person. So these are variables. And then this is free open text. So type person ID, and it defines how to create that ID, name, email, role, organization, and team. So same goes for like projects. And if I want a little bit more structure, I would add it. So let's say that let's add one-on-ones for my internal team. Let's say that I want to run like one-on-one meetings for my team. That's a specific type of meeting with specific types of actions and follow-up. So it starts like going a new level of like definition. So it's probably going to add to the meetings, maybe a meeting type. Let's see what it does. Questions so far?
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Pedro.